hated coming home. I would find excuses not to go home.
That encouragement.
I always do. I'm always like my son. I'm like, you're a champ and all this other stuff. Like, even if he does things wrong and backwards, like he'll put his shoes on the other way. You know, whatever. It's like.
And that's so unlike what Christ intended the church to be.
So I have a question for you, Chris. Were you on that poll?
Which one is she talking about? Me?
Talking them down.
Yeah.
And that's what you're building up in them.
Yeah.
Now you have those select few that don't even fall into that and they go do their own thing anyway.
Yeah.
But it kind of ties into what you're saying. It's like how you talk to them even from a young age, what you're building up.
There.
With
Yeah,
the
no.
little
I think
thing.
it stops right there.
Oh, we're good?
All right. Oh, okay. Welcome.
How you doing?
We always get caught.
How you doing? Welcome to episode 4 of The Living Room. You guys been riding with us from the very beginning. We actually have 5 episodes. Episode 0
But we ain't gonna talk about the first one.
not. It's called episode 0, but we actually have 5 episodes. But this is officially episode 4.
It was good.
I believe this is running live. Is this running live on all platforms or? Okay, perfect. Last time, oh jeez, I forgot to. No, don't do that. Okay.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Oh no, don't do it.
Oh,
Dang it.
Lord.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Both of them is listed. Oh God, I'm trying to get some logistics gone here. All right, so I'm Coach Eddie. We'll go around the room while I figure out the logistics of this. Oh gosh.
Now we're playing cartoons. Never mind the Sesame Street.
You know. All right. So, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Chris, small business mentor. Also do capital for if you're looking to do commercial leasing or commercial building, doing that as well. So that's my story.
And you're
Good.
sticking to it.
And
Sticking to
I'm
it.
Chris D. I am a registered nurse working actually to get my nurse practitioner. How about
Ooh.
that? I'm a mom, a grandmother, and I'm a minister of the gospel.
Nice. A nurse practitioner.
Yeah, how about
Oh,
that?
okay.
A nurse practitioner, she about to make
Yeah,
some
she's
money.
beyond a
boy.
nurse.
She
Well,
about to
we'll
make
see.
some money. You about to take us to lunch.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna have some good.
We didn't go to lunch
food.
today.
Yeah, we can go lunch today.
We don't.
Yeah.
You gonna
Yeah.
lunch?
Well,
Wait.
not today, but
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you know, we gotta work with everybody's schedule.
Schedule.
So
Yeah.
how much longer do you have till the nurse practitioner degree?
Probably another year and a half, maybe.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it, but it's
always
happening.
good though. Yeah, because the
It's
year and a half's gonna happen whether you do it or not.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So-
Exactly.
Yeah.
So where I'm putting myself.
Yep.
But yeah,
Just stay focused. I feel like you're.
it's a lot to do. It's a
Yeah.
lot to think about.
But you've been doing it for a while though, right?
Well, I've been a nurse for a long time, but
Yeah.
like the nurse practitioner is a whole different.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game. You know, like you actually are the one that's going to be responsible for your patients. It's not like, oh well, let's see what the doctor says, or
Yeah.
we're gonna call the doctor and
You are the
no,
doctor,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Now, how does it work? Can
exactly.
you sign on behalf of a doctor, or you now? I feel like isn't there a rule like Florida that nurse practitioners can be standalone? They don't
Yeah.
need to- okay.
So like in Florida, if you after 5 years
Yeah.
under a doctor, and there's some other stipulations, but after 5 years, yeah, you can practice on your own. You can like open your own office and hire staff and all that other kind of stuff like that. And
Which I think is good, you know.
yeah, that's a lot to think about.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. It's a lot of
You gotta have like
liability
$1
too,
million worth of insurance.
Yeah.
And
Oh wow.
so like you're actually operating as pretty much as a doctor.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
wow.
know.
Just without that doctorate degree.
Yeah.
But
And
you
you
got the
don't get
experience.
the
A lot
money
of
of
a
the
lot of the
doctor,
nurses.
you know.
But, so let me ask you a question. I have a trick question. So if you become a nurse practitioner and you get your doctorate in nurse practitioner, can they call you doctor? ABC.
What's the point? Because you're making as much as it.
Yeah, no, you're not making as much as a doctor.
I mean,
but,
nurses
you have a
practitioners make some
doctor's
money, though.
degree, right?
Well,
So can they call you doctor?
technically, I mean, any
A
kind of doctorate
PhD?
degree, you can
Yeah.
be called a doctor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But how does that work in the medical field? Like if you have a nurse practitioner, you have
Like
a
doctors are,
You all say
a regular
Dr. MD?
doctor is a medical doctor. Is MD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
A doctorate in nursing. I
That's
don't
not a
know,
medical
nurse prac-
degree.
Yeah, no, it's not the same.
But I know
It's
it's
not
not
the
the same. But isn't it technically a medical degree?
Well,
Yeah, but you gotta do your clinicals because
But-
there's like a 2-year clinical, right? that you do
yeah,
for a
it takes
doctor.
it's like 12, 16 years to become a medical doctor.
Mhm. Yeah.
Nurse practitioner with a doctorate degree is probably like 5 or 6 years.
Also,
If you did it all together.
Because once you get your
6,
doctorate
7
degree,
years.
then you got to go to
it
specialize in
frozen?
whatever field
Oh.
you're in too, right?
Well, yeah, but that's like maybe a year, maybe a year
So
if you want to do something different.
the MD stands for medical degree or medical doctor.
Medical doctor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. But there's all kinds of people walk around with doctor degrees now.
Hell, I got a
Doctor
doctorate
this
degree.
and that. You got a doctorate degree?
No.
No.
Dr. Dre. No.
All right. Well, that was a good discussion. We didn't expect to talk about that, but, which is good. I mean, if you want to be a nurse, reach out to Chris D. She has all the
Yeah,
lowdown.
I got you. I
Um,
got you.
Reach out
But
to
that's
me, you're gonna be
good.
in trouble.
Like, now that I know, like, if I get sick, I can just drop my insurance, and I know.
No, no.
what-
What's up, your insurance?
She's like, it
Right,
doesn't
and I
work
say,
that
No.
way.
hey, I need
No.
this. I googled my symptoms.
That's our producer.
I googled my symptoms, and
And then you're going to tell me just send me
Did
the-
you-
and I need
did you
you
just
to order
Show up
this
on the screen?
from CVS. You know,
No, it doesn't work
that
like
doesn't
that.
work like that.
Mm-mm, you got to come in, you got to be assessed, and then we got to talk about
But you can assess
what you got
me like,
going on. Nope, can't do
hey,
it over
Chris
the phone.
D,
No,
I have a certain cough, and I googled it. and
no,
then,
no, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. A lot of people think medicine
It
works
probably
like
will
that.
work like that later on.
Ooh.
Like
Ooh.
teledocs.
Ooh. I mean,
Yeah.
you can do some stuff online, but it's really
why do you have to see the person physically? I mean, everything is like,
because it's
if I tell you my symptoms,
it's stuff that's happening with you physically that you won't even know to look for. You know what I'm saying? That only like a medical professional who's been trained to look for that stuff. Like you might not notice. I don't know. You don't know how your lungs sound.
yeah,
You don't know. You know. You
But I
don't
think
know.
with technology, I think it's only going to move closer to
yeah,
not
doing
having to
every
be there
telework,
physically because they're doing surgeries from Germany to over
Oh,
here.
wow.
you know.
What?
Yeah.
yeah, with
Yeah,
the
like robotics.
robotics. That's
Yeah, when I was with
crazy.
a certain medical device company, that's what we'll do is we'll set up the robot so that somebody in a different country is able to operate, you know, in the United States and do it that way. But
which
they,
makes sense.
and they
technically.
always have a doctor on the standby just in case something goes wrong. You have to open the patient up, but you know they're able to do that right now. You know, through
That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Da Vinci robots. and
Because
that.
at the end of the day, they have the skill, and they just need to make sure like the computers and the robots
The
translate
guidance is accurate. Yeah,
that skill.
Mhm.
And if that's perfected, why
Yeah.
not?
it's being perfected 100%
Yeah.
now.
Why can't you do surgeries from like you have a surgeon in Norway do surgeries in America?
Yeah, because he specializes in that. He's doing it like if it's a specialized surgery. You
Oh
know.
my gosh.
Yeah, there's plenty of surgeries that are starting to do that. A lot of surgeons and doctors. I think that's going to
I
be
think
the wave
that's-
of the future. 100%.
Bro, that's awesome. I would love to see that.
Yeah, somebody in Turkey that has a specialized skill that could do an operation on you. He doesn't have to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine how many patients he can cure.
That's bananas. All right, so let's talk about some topics of the day. As you know, if you've been part of this show, real life, real people, all heart.
Ooh, got it
I
right.
got that right. I believe.
No.
I believe that's.
She's like, mm.
Is it real life, real talk? Something like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you still didn't get it right.
real life. What?
I think it's real talk.
Life talk.
Re-
Real people. I know I didn't use
That's
real
hilarious.
twice. Life talk. Shut up. Why you gotta expose me? Like I'm telling, they've been on top of me all day.
Oh my God.
Chris D walks into my home.
Eddie needs
Oh, we're
Walks
gonna go there.
into my home.
He needs a new floor.
Goes to.
And I'm just trying to help.
Goes to
I'm
sit
just
down on the
trying to
table. Oh,
help.
what's going on with your floor? I was like,
I'm just trying
How
to
you
help.
know I'm not
Look,
sensitive about my flaws? Like,
We're
you
gonna
know,
start a GoFundMe pretty
like
soon. So
I'm
just-
telling you, like, let my like, you know,
he is not sensitive about the floor. No,
there's
no.
areas of my floor that need some work. you
Yeah,
know,
they
and
do.
I
But
mean,
it's
no,
okay. I
not
mean,
all
it's
of
nice
it.
wood,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
so we fall through here. Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
no. I'm like, you can't come in and attack me. So we're gonna talk about
Couch like
something.
this.
If you've been part of this, Life Talk, Real People, All Heart.
Got it right.
Bam. The
Okay.
living room. So if you've been a part of this discussion from day one, you do realize, you do know that we talk about everything. We try to, kind of come with our perspective and share it. We have a certain perspective. We have three different generations in this. We have Gen X, and we have
Gen X.
I'm like on the cusp of the boomer.
I didn't want to say it. I'm like, I shouldn't say three generations. I'm happy that you said it. Okay, we got a boomer, we have Gen X, and we have a Gen Z, millennial.
I'm like 64.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I'm a cusp.
so we have three different
perspectives.
So we're all kinds of messed up.
We all kinds of messed up.
Uh-oh.
I can't believe you
special way.
I can't believe you let me get away with that, but I'm okay with that. You know, you guys been programmed. I'm happy. All right, and only some people understand that joke. So saying that, we touch on many different topics, and I guess we'll present like Chris G. Before you came in, when you came in, I asked you what was your topic. Did you want to actually bring it up or give some
I'm good
backstory?
No, actually, no. The topic is Bud Light controversy.
Yeah,
That's a big one, and it's just funny how, one little thing nowadays can kind of throw things off.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess
so. Could you
from
give us
a
some
business standpoint.
Well, can you give some backstory on the Bud Light controversy? Like,
Yeah,
give some history. Or
Yeah, that Dylan McVoney, I guess he's a TikToker, or she's a TikToker.
Whoa. Who? Is she,
Yeah, so
he?
she's a trans.
He?
So it was a guy that transitioned the whole year into becoming a woman, and then at the end of it, Bud Light sent her a can, with her face on it, and then obviously Bud Light is supposed to be a neutral company from the eyes of the consumer, and doing that just kind of open up a spark plug of just outrage, because a lot of people are like, well, what's going on here? Like, Bud Light drinkers are there just to drink Bud Light. They're not, Bud Light's always been like the comedy show of beers. They've always had the funny commercials.
Yeah.
They've always had nothing really controversial. More, they've always been a neutral. And then now they actually took a stance because they were trying to make a stand, or they were trying to make a point to kind of, get in line with the new generation, or the new thoughts.
It's a new generation, new thought process.
Yeah, new thought process.
Yeah,
and
like the VP, I believe she's a VP. Or
yeah,
something.
she's a VP. Yep.
She came in and she have all these pronouns on her LinkedIn profile, which is now removed, and I don't believe she works there anymore.
She was removed.
Yeah, but she had all these pronouns on it, or I don't know what but all these kind of pronouns on her LinkedIn profile, and she was like this new face of where the
marketing
campaign on where Bud Light was going, and I think she introduced all of this, and to be honest, I'm just gonna be straightforward. I just think we live in a generation that is very delusional, because Satan is delusional at the end of the day. He's very delusional in every way. He think he's can triumph over God. That's a delusional thinking, and he gets you to think in delusional ways, to be so disconnected from the truth, and not have us call things for what it is. You can't like put a face. You can't what's it called? Like, how they say blackface? You can't put blackface on and pretend to be black, or you can't put woman face on and pretend to be a woman. They're the whole experience. They're the whole journey on what being a woman is, period, point blank. And to dishonor or devalue that is misogynistic. And to have men pretending to be women talk about women issues is misogynistic. It's not me being misogynistic. That's misogynistic, and it's disgusting. To me, if you have a problem, unsubscribe. That's not my problem.
You know what? There's a lot of people that have been doing a lot of complaining about like the athletes that are these trans women are being put on the teams with, women, females who are people who are born female. And I don't even know how to use the terminology anymore. But anyway, these trans people are being put on these teams, and then there have been issues where they have been attacking, born females, and
They've been
having
attacking
sexual
women. Men attacking women.
Well,
that is abusive.
Well,
that's what it is.
And that's what
I don't know how are we covering that in society, and as believers, how we are talking in these terms. Men are attacking women.
Well, that's the uproar. Happening. I guess that's the that's the whole point.
Men are attacking women, and they are in woman face, and they're pretending to be women, and they're aggressive. Have you seen these videos online? I'm a woman. Respect me, sir. Like, you're not. Shut up. That's men attacking women, and they're being aggressive. And if we call it as it is, we will see things. This is abusive. It's misogynistic. It's a classic definition of misogynism. Like men attacking women and speaking on their behalf and closing their perspective off.
Well, I think that's where the whole Bud Light controversy came in, because a lot of people, a lot of conservatives are concerned that, listen, you know what I mean, like people can believe in what they want, but at the same time, not everybody has to believe it. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of, even if you look at Target, selling bikinis with a little sack in the middle part. You know what I mean? Like, to me, like
no, please stop.
You know what I mean? Did pull some of their state. They
but it doesn't mean that you have to go along with it. Some of their gay
pride stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that the society as a whole has to go along with it.
Okay, so this is how it all started off. Let's not forget how it all started off. It started off with, just accept me for who I am. Mm-hmm. Why don't you just accept me for who I am? Okay, we'll accept you for who you are. You can have your name. You can have whatever. I just want to feel accepted. See, then it started off with, why don't we have equal opportunities in school? Why don't we have books in schools about us? Why don't we have representation? Just accept me for, okay, if you want to have, you can check out those books, whatever. Now it's, you will accept this is the new way of being. If not, you are misogynistic, you are trans, all these lies, And let's be careful about saying these words, because this is how things get caught up in the crazy algorithm, and let's focus on saying men and women. I don't even use that other term because it doesn't exist to me. There's men and there's women. That's all that exists. There's no other thing to me. So I don't talk about those terms. Even when you go through my social media, you don't ever hear me say those words, because those words are words of today. It does not exist. If it does not exist in the Bible, it does not exist in my vocabulary, period. So I don't bring up these new terminology or try to figure out how to say things. I say, yes. I mean, and if you don't like it, we don't have to be friends. Not everyone is friends. We don't have to talk. Not everyone talk. We all have a different perspective. You live your life. And they're like, oh, you're Christians, don't you? I'm a Christian to those who are seeking God. If you refuse to seek God, where did Jesus go and visit where he wasn't invited?
I just opened up a firestorm.
Yeah. And not only that, this is going to lead to my discussion, which is on top of that. But, okay, go ahead. I don't want to.
Let's go, because I think we can go deep into this. And honestly, you know what I mean? And I think we can go deep into this, and I don't know how deep we want to go into it. I think I'm just looking at it from a business standpoint. Okay. I'm looking at it as like, okay, so there's people out there, you know what I mean, and yes, you can accept who you want at your business or whatever, but it doesn't mean that other people have to accept that as well. And I think as a society, the tide's starting to turn a little bit, where it's like, okay, it's gone too far this way, you know what I mean? So now let's shift it back in, because we also have a voice as well. You know what I mean? And I think that's what Bud Light and Target is showing. You know what I mean? Whether it's good or bad or indifference, it doesn't from a business standpoint, I'm just like, people do matter, and the products that you do sell do matter. And if people don't speak up on what they believe in, or don't, look into the company's philosophy or the company culture or anything like that, then they're missing out. You know what I mean? They're just throwing their dollars away. So I would say, from a business standpoint, look at the company's CEO, look at the company's philosophy, look at the company's vision, and see if that's something that you want to invest in. And I would say that whether it's whether it's a black owned, Hispanic owned, whether it's minority owned, or whether they're doing the right things for the environment, not just in a gender standpoint, but I would say in a philosophy standpoint, and are they doing the right things for the environment and for people in general?
I think that they have. It's like, because they have made themselves such a big this other community has made themselves so socially prominent. It's created this image that this is us, this is all of us, and those who are not not subscribing to that is really the larger majority of the population. They really are a smaller percentage of the population of people that are, I think, that are with that are
It's
thinking
like the
in that
smaller
way.
voice,
I think it
always the
is.
loudest,
It's just
and
that
then-
they're louder. It's just that they're louder, and I think that what these companies are seeing, like what you're talking about with Bud Light, like what you're talking about with Target, is that the average American is like, they say whatever they say, but don't put that on all of us,
Right.
Don't put that on, because, I mean, when you think about Bud Light, you think about, the average American Joe,
And
whatever.
just to be clear, I would say that even in politics, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just because don't expect a one person to believe in your party. I would say that whether it's politics, whether it's gender, whether it's race, I'm not going to always agree with you on everything. Doesn't mean that we can't talk and have a conversation.
Just because I'm not standing on the corner screaming it doesn't mean that.
Exactly. Yeah. So your voice does matter in a lot of things, and I think people just need to get louder and what they believe in.
Your voice does matter.
It does, and
It
your
matters.
but most importantly, your dollar
matters.
from a standpoint, from
Yeah.
a business standpoint.
Yeah.
It matters.
And it's obviously still having an impact, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Modelo
That
just
these
took over.
businesses are listening to.
Modelo just took over as #1 sales in the month of May, first time. And I don't know, it might be the first time in history that Bud Light has been beaten, because they're the #1.
Oh.
In sales. Modelo just took that over, and they didn't beat them by a little. They beat them by a lot.
And I never really drank Modelo one time ever.
I
in my
do.
life. Oh, now you do.
You do?
No, I mean, whatever.
We can
like,
tell. We can tell you drink.
Yeah. Why? Because I'm Hispanic, huh? I'm just joking.
Not the only one
Look
who
at
have
his face.
Hispanic heritage around here.
I'm just
All
joking.
right. So that's a good conversation. I mean, I feel like we have dig deeply into this, and I mean, you guys got my perspective. I just feel like the current narrative is the current world systems are being kidnapped, and well, it's not being kidnapped. It's actually being ruled by its ruler, But the traditions that we had that was based on truth is being kidnapped and trying to manipulate. So that's gonna feed into something else, like that. My topic I'm bringing to the table.
Oh.
The Bible talks about witchcraft, and I think a lot of people today have it confused on what witchcraft is. They go to TV and think they know what witchcraft is, right? And witchcraft practice magic. Let's break that down, right? Do we all agree with that?
I don't know what they practice.
Yeah, but
I
the
would say
practice
it
of
would be
witchcraft,
magic,
you would
yeah.
say, is practice of magic and sorcery and stuff like that, right?
Probably.
Yes. Okay, so we all know that basis. Is magic based on truth or false realities?
Sorcery?
Yeah. Is it based on truth? Like when a magician do a trick, are they doing a truthful trick? Or are they creating a false reality
It's an illusion.
to trick you? an illusion. It's creating a false reality. So when you gaslight and when you create false realities and you manipulate and you live a life like that, and you're purposely doing it because you know the truth of the matter, but you're purposely creating false realities, that is witchcraft. That is practicing witchcraft. When God says about practicing sorcery and witchcraft, people are out here, I'm telling you, they are out here creating false illusions, realities. They're creating a false sense of truth, and they're trying to present it knowing it's not the truth. And they'll hide all the truthful elements. They don't want to tell you this. When you ask them a certain question, they become doctors of this world, and they manipulate the truth in such a way to say, "Oh no," and you try to ask a pressing question in regards to the truth that gets to the matter.
So you mean a lot of the girls I've been dating have been
What I'm saying is people practice witchcraft without knowing it.
Or probably
we live in a society that constantly practicing astrology, believing it. That's witchcraft.
Astrology?
Yes.
Oof.
Practicing the stars. That is we are actively living the Bible specific. Chris D, can you look up scriptures on witchcraft? I will get you some scriptures how the Bible specifically calls out witchcraft. So when you are going through a situation and you don't have a spirit of telling the truth or have integrity, and you try to gaslight and manipulate the situation and create a false reality, and you say, "Oh, I'm just doing it to get over," or whatever, you're practicing witchcraft. You're practicing a form of illusion or whatever. So it's not. When people read this in the Bible, they feel so disconnected. Like, "Oh, I don't practice witchcraft. I don't do this. I don't manipulate. I don't do." They don't say I don't manipulate, but I don't do all of this. They are. So that's why we have to have a sense of integrity about us. We have to base everything on the truth. We have to come from a place of honesty when we deal in our communications, and have integrity. So I just wanted to throw it out there. Like, what are your thoughts, Chris G?
I'm twisted on that because I think we're all guilty of some type of manipulation in some way. Like, whether it's, whether it's some sort of dishonesty or some sort of depending. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody here can walk and say that they never lied or they've never been dishonest or they never tried to even like I fight that like sometimes like I didn't know it beforehand, but I would try to manipulate a girl because I'll be like, she didn't think what I was thinking. The other, you know what I mean? So there's a sort.
That's gaslighting.
And I've been guilty of that.
But what I'm saying is,
but I would say no. But it's interesting coming from your standpoint because it's like, at a point. I would say at a point of extreme that probably is, and we don't think about it as, we
think we're just
witchcraft or anything of that nature. But I guess when you look at it at that point, you can kind of like, you know what I mean? You can kind of decipher like, am I doing the right thing or am I doing the wrong thing?
Now let's think about things from a godly. Yes, your yes meaning yes and your no meaning no.
Mm-hmm.
When you are God Almighty and you setting up these words and he's using his children to subscribe the Bible, how would he describe what we're doing?
Yeah, he would describe it as evil.
But it would describe it like you're creating a false reality outside of me.
Right.
He'll call, and then when you think of it from a more like
a worldly standpoint.
Like more godly, like like godly standpoint, you're like, this is practicing. Like the way he would describe it, stop practicing witchcraft. Stop creating these false realities. That's so. What I'm trying to bring awareness now. That now that I kind of see that and God has revealed that is like targeting that. Like we need to get the spirit of witchcraft out of our society. It's gonna be here until we go to war. I want you to be aware because once you're aware, then you can say I need to practice integrity because I know that is not in alignment with God.
Yeah, if you're not aware of it and you're not like, if you don't have like an analogy to put it in or like like a bucket to put it in, then it's just sitting there. And I think everybody's been guilty of that, and once in their life or twice, whatever.
Yeah, we all guilty of lying, fornicating. We're all guilty of all these sins.
Yeah.
But we know it. clearly.
If you know it, then you know what I mean. Then you need to do something about it.
Yeah.
And that's the point in my life where I'm at.
Yeah.
What about you? She's sitting quiet over here. What's going on over there?
It's a lot.
It is a lot, yeah.
You know, do I believe in witchcraft? Absolutely.
No.
I believe that there are people who are actively participating in satanic worship. We see it, and it is becoming more prevalent. Used to be hidden.
What do you mean by how do you see it from a satanic standpoint, like at a church or like a satanic? Or are you
It's
talking
like
about like
very direct.
Yeah.
actual satanic
Yeah.
worship rituals.
In Boston, that
I
happened.
actually saw a video.
I've
or
never seen that.
a portion of a video yesterday. It was the beginning of a meeting where, just like say in a Christian meeting, we open up with prayer to God. This meeting opened up with a gentleman giving salutations to Satan.
Wow.
Is that becoming more prevalent? Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. And
Wow.
you are seeing I'm a movie person, so I'm watching a lot of movies. You know, I just like to watch movies. And I noticed that in a lot of movies, even in children's movies, that there are things that are happening in these movies that are giving negative connotations to Christianity and the things of the Bible, and that are promoting other belief systems that, you know, have these different practices.
Do you think it's always been that way though? Because I know, like, and you know, there's always been talk about like Disney having like, you know, what I mean, like all of their agendas and like other, you know, what I mean, like. I think
that maybe it was to a certain extent, but not like it is now. Yeah. Now it's just blatant now.
It's out.
There used to be at least a somewhat positive reference. If there was reference to anything like God, it was positive reference. You know, I've watched movies, children's movies that are saying, you know, God is not a man, God is a woman, and you know,
that is bananas.
There is no God, or you know,
bananas.
it's not up to God, it's up to you, and you know, or these referring to these other gods.
And that's where the controversy came in with Walt Disney as well, with that, with their whole moving progressive agenda too.
And they are strongly moving towards that, and not just Disney, but you know.
And that's the problem I think, you know, some politicians have with that, and some conservative.
Absolutely, but the thing is that it's across the board. It's not just because the things that some of the things that you're talking about. We don't just see it in our own individual relationships, but even in society as a whole. News media, I think, is just, it's totally deceptive.
Like
you
propaganda.
know, it is really designed to get likes, you know, to be promoted. And if what we say is going to get people to look and watch, then we're going to say more of that. And if it is not necessarily the truth, you don't know it. So, just
just for the record,
you know,
I don't
prove
watch
that
a lot
it's
of
wrong.
news. Yeah,
prove that it's wrong.
For that
and
reason.
I think that that's the attitude that's gone across the board in our society, in our relationships. Women are being taught to not be honest with men. Men are taught you can't be honest with women. You know,
it's a spirit of lying.
And children are taught that you can't be honest with your parents, or, you know, if parents are, you know, if they're being taught that, you know, how to trick them and how to deceive them, and isn't this so funny? Rebellion is being taught.
Rebellion, straight,
you know,
rebellion.
It's being taught. It's being promoted. You know, this whole idea about when you raise your children, you're not supposed to tell them no. You're supposed to just, you know, let them do whatever. Let them do whatever they want to do. You know, what are we raising here is the question. I mean, that's got to backfire on you because
but
in society.
Keep in mind, the boomers raised Gen X.
It's new rules.
No, but listen, the boomers raised Gen X, and you guys were disconnected from, not you guys, but like boomers were disconnected from us, right? Boomers raised us, and we were like, oh, we don't want to be like our parents. When we grow up, we're going to be friends with our kids. We're going to talk to them. We're going to let them be free, and they're going to be able to communicate with us. They're going to do all this great stuff. And Gen X is raising some hellish kids.
Well, I think technology is too, though. I don't even think. I think parents, yeah, but honestly,
parents have a lot to do with it.
They have a lot to do with it, but technology has moving so fast that it's hard for parents to keep up with what the kids are learning in general. I mean, look at AI, look at, technology, look at, all these different things that, all these different apps, you can learn different things. I mean, all these other different platforms. So I don't think it's not all the parents' fault, but
I think it's
raising
actually, kids. The Bible says, train up a child.
It's all the kids' fault.
No,
it's the kids' fault.
The kid. I have kids that are not. Whatever.
It's society as a whole. To me,
yeah.
I think it's not just.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes, parents.
Parents
of course, we have parents definitely have an influence on. But society as a whole, social media is huge, and it's a huge.
And a lot of parents didn't know how to get in front of that. They just
how do you even put on parental controls?
Get on
there's so many.
Before it was video games.
You don't even know how to work.
So when social media came, yes, that's a good point.
My 6-year-old son can work that technology like crazy. He's showing me apps that I have.
I know.
So got like sneaky links, and I was
like, side chicks. Okay, so this is the thing about it, like. Technology back in the day, we played video games. We played Street Fighter and stuff like that. So when these apps that came in with social media, we didn't think nothing big of it. We thought it was just like how we were raised. We had video games, but it just snuck in and
it snuck in and took over.
Yeah, because we didn't know how to get in front of it. I guarantee if we have the information now that we have back then, we would make.
See, if we're the only ones influencing our kids, I think it'll be a little bit easier, but we're not, because they can go into Discord, they can go into different rooms, and it's almost like a reality for them. You know what I mean? So like,
and you have people on the
and
outside.
Then you have influence, and then they're influenced by them, because it's like, oh well, you just it's like my daughter has gone through a whole.
Now your kids are raised
by
parents.
TikTok.
Yeah, so many forces. There's
not much you can do.
Yeah.
Speaking of right, and you were talking about schools. I have a friend who's a substitute in the elementary school system, and he was talking about he went into a classroom, and he couldn't tell by the paraphernalia in the class. Like of course teachers set up their desk with their own stuff, but he couldn't tell by what was on the desk or what was in the classroom whether the teacher that he was substituting for was male or female. Going back to your subject or that original subject, anyway. And then so he went to the teacher next door, and he was like, just so I can use the right pronouns, is the teacher, he or her? And the teacher from the next door classroom said, well, your guess is as good as mine. So this teacher, what that's saying is this teacher is coming in one day dressed as male, one day dressed as female.
Oh.
One, and these elementary school children
are confused.
Are having to.
That is, and imagine.
Are being impacted by that.
That is bananas.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
What if I was a parent and I wanted my kids not to be in that class? Do I have a right to raise? Do I have a right to raise my child the way I want to raise my child?
That's a good question.
So what if I was a parent? Am I phobic something if I don't want my child in that class?
And then
to a certain group you are, and then to a certain group you ain't.
And then they say
that's where we're at.
Let's talk about why would I be? So let's go talk about parental rights. Do we no longer have rights today to raise our children?
Barely.
Does that make sense?
It depends on what
you
want to do.
I mean, because honestly, they'll just be like, well, you just don't come to this class, or you can just get out of school if you don't accept our teachers. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you're the bad guy and they're the good guys. You know what I mean? So
but it's kind of
like.
But let's go back down to fundamental.
That's the way it is.
Yes, let's go back to fundamental rights, right? So we don't have a right to raise our kids anymore. I think everyone should agree. Everyone should agree that everyone has the right to raise their kids. Period.
Well,
everyone with their belief system. Everyone don't have a right to raise their kids with their belief system until they're old and they can make their own choice.
I mean, of course.
But you're fighting a lot of different elements. Like
it's like you're accepting.
You know what I mean?
Other things
absolutely,
to
you have the
change the fundamental truth.
You absolutely have the right.
Everyone has a right. It's so weird that we can't even get into this.
But then here's the other flip
of
side
agreement.
of it is the other people have the rights to, you know what I mean? Because they're getting the rights in the schools
wait,
to be able to
wait,
preach to your kids that you don't really have.
That's good. Keep talking because
you know what I mean?
This is a non-argument.
Yeah.
In a public school setting.
Public school
Right. Setting. That I'm paying tax dollars for. Right?
You don't have the right.
Of course I have a right.
Try.
You have the right to pull your child out of the public school system and put them in a private school that teaches what you want your child to know.
System.
I think
You're not going to change
we
the
have a
system.
discussion is because we
That's
have
why there's private schools.
we have backed away from certain rights and certain perspectives.
Yeah.
And we have allowed certain lies to witchcraft to creep in. We have let's go back to the fundamental truth. We have a right to raise our children the way we want.
Yes.
We have a lot of people paying taxes to a school in that system. So that school has to be reflective of that district. So if 80%, which is really probably 95% of the people have certain belief system that they want to have, and then only 5% have a certain belief, give that. If student want to be part of that 5%, boom. That public school still need to be reflective of that 95.
But here's the problem with that. Is that there's only 5% that show up at these school boards and
exactly.
You know what I mean? So the 80%
PTA
voice
meetings,
never gets heard.
Right.
No,
you know what I mean? So that's
changing.
the part. If you want to make a change,
changing.
that's the part that you need to do.
But look at what's happening
and that's what
now.
people need to know.
People are standing up now. People.
That's
are
what
like,
I'm saying.
Like
yeah,
Budweiser, like this is happening now.
Yeah. Of
Before
course.
it wasn't because we was accepting certain things. Okay, you want to be called? We accept that.
Well, it's because you're being woke. You know, a lot. That's what they call it, wokeism.
Oh, what? We being woke? What?
You know,
what?
no,
what?
That's what they call it, wokeism.
Now
you know
we
what I mean?
waking up.
Now the other side's waking up.
And that's so
kinda,
true. It is. It is.
Yeah.
You know, that I think nobody thought that this movement would go and infiltrate as far as it did. Maybe you did.
I did
but
not.
I don't think that the majority of the people thought that it would go as far as it's
like
gone
I'm not
or
doing that.
infiltrate the way that it has. And I don't think that, I mean,
there's no turning back now. I don't think.
the alphabet
it's a
the
war.
alphabet community, for lack of a better term, they have
The
they
who?
have
I just wanted to add to what she said. You know, like
Is-
it was a little bit easier to raise kids back in the days because
Right.
you know you didn't have all these external forces.
Yeah.
And the kids were raised like in a community.
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
with shared
Yeah.
beliefs,
Right.
Shared values.
shared beliefs and shared values.
Because you're from where? E?
Yeah.
So so he's
So-
Nigerian. He's
okay,
talking
but
about
they don't.
the tribal
They don't hear the
culture.
conversation behind the back. So
Yeah.
E is saying back in the day it's easier to raise kids because you had tribal understanding and
And
shared
rituals
values.
and cultural values.
Even when you like
Villages.
TGIF back in the day when we used to watch that, it's still shared values of family and just the same understanding. We had a campfire
Yes.
that we used to just sit around and listen to.
And there's a
that's what-
hierarchy
yeah,
too. Like, you know what I mean?
Hierarchical. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've gone way around
We
that.
are
Now
so
it's
out of
like
it. But now we're talking in terms. I just want us to be aware of our vocabulary and the way we're speaking, because that's where it starts. We're talking in terms of submitting to certain belief system, respecting certain. Get the. Sorry, let's call things what it is, and let's move on from there. And that's where we start. We're not starting from anything crazy.
in full disclosure though, for me,
Okay.
is like, listen, I'm not gonna believe in everything that another person,
Yeah.
but it's not gonna stop me from talking to another person.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So for
I love
me,
everyone.
you're all the same, but just from a belief standpoint, I have my beliefs, and then from a belief standpoint, you have your beliefs. And I think as long as we're good with separating both and just having a good time as it is, then I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? But like moving beyond and putting your beliefs on me or me putting my beliefs on you,
Yes.
that's where we go
I
wrong.
agree. That's why I said people who don't like me, just unsubscribe. Like,
I think that it's just like I don't know. There are just certain issues that children
They shouldn't have to.
have to deal with that.
I
like,
agree.
Families that are struggling financially and bills and whatever, trying to figure out how you're going to keep the children. That shouldn't be a part of that. Shouldn't be pressure that is put on them. Sexuality, how the parents a lot of kids they're not even aware they don't even know anything about sex or intimate relationships.
How about we start talking about issues that kids really should know in the school system,
Exactly.
which is about,
Exactly.
you know, the basics of living, the
Exactly.
credit, not to be credit, you know, how to live a life that's
just
not
basic
with
stuff.
depth.
Can they
and just-
actually learn math? You
yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah.
Can they
Math
learn
that they're actually
science?
going to use, or
Yes.
subjects that they're actually going to use, like living every day, or mental. You know what I mean? How to focus. Like if you're going through a stressful day, how to deal with your mental. I believe there should be more of that in the classroom than.
And the scary
anything else.
thing about it is I can't imagine what parents are doing when their child is like 5. Right now in this generation,
My son's
like
6. So.
5, 6, and they have. Your son have a phone yet?
Yeah. No, he doesn't have a phone.
Yeah.
But he has an iPad.
God. Like,
yeah, but he.
like getting on social media and doing all of that. And
Yeah, I mean he's.
This
A lot of parents are
it's
choosing
so-
not to.
like,
He doesn't have any video games, and then the thing is that we just have strong values that we try to push on him. And I know the first 7 years is the most important years of a kid's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's been scientifically proven.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean,
First
I would
18.
argue that
So
probably
he said
from
right
10
now
to
it's the first
14 is
18.
probably the most important. But it's talking about like from, you know what I mean, from the way that they are gonna be. You know, 1 to 7 is probably the most impactful
I think that
influence that you can
Yeah.
provide for a kid.
I think that it's important that parents realize that you, regardless of whatever stage they're in, certainly in those early years, you are the biggest voice
Yeah.
in their life. You know, yes, they're influenced by other things, but you have to actively engage with them and help them to accurately interpret all this information that they're receiving. You know, and even as they get older, you know, my kids are in their 20s, some of them in their 30s, but we still talk about stuff, you know.
That's good.
Like, what does that mean? And what does that mean for you? And even though people are saying this, you know, what does that have to do with you? And even now, you know, I have a few people that I'm mentoring that are all different ages, you know. And I think that people need that parental voice to just say, well, let's look at this
Yeah.
and let's talk about this.
Yeah.
You know, and because they're getting a lot of ideas from society that is difficult to process without a certain level of maturity.
They need that level-headed maturity and
Absolutely.
be able to decipher and
Absolutely. And parents and children are waiting for their parents, their you know, guardian figures to say to them, to tell them who they are. And if parents aren't telling children who they are, then society will definitely make them think that they're anything.
And
you
this
know?
is this is where I've seen the benefit of having a strong familial support system.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like having aunts and uncle and cousins that the kids are close to that all share the same values.
Yeah.
That they value as a relationship. That's where I see that the blessing, that tribe. That's
you
where
gotta have that core group,
so
that mastermind
having
group.
a core group. Yes. Auntie.
Yeah.
But here's
uncle. So he
and-
said, remember, the people can't hear what he's saying. So the producer was saying, he remembered when he was growing up, his aunties would discipline him if his mother wasn't around, or
Right.
you know, cousins would reinforce things that, like, if somebody talked out of line, everybody would be like, what is going on? Did he say
Yes,
that? And they will
yes.
be shunned. They'll be so embarrassed by everyone else. Now we have family members. It's so crazy that it's so into the world. Everyone's disconnected. They supporting each other for rebellious acts.
well, here's the thing I would add to that
It's disgusting.
is that there's a lot of people out there
It's
that
disgusting.
don't have a support group, that don't
Yeah.
have a good core group
Yes,
in their thing. So
yes.
what I would say is reach out to a mentor, even a life coach, Eddie,
Yeah.
me, or
Yeah.
Chris. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, I think we're doing this show as, you know, first as topics, but also as something to kind of see through our life, because we've been through a lot of life changes, a lot of life challenges, so we can kind of guide you. And that's why I'm doing the small business mentor, is because I want to guide people on how to do the right thing, not only in business but also from your personal standpoint as well to get you from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, if you don't have, and I grew up, I didn't have a great support system. My mom passed away when I was 18. My dad passed away when I was 23. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, well, who do you run to? My uncles were all, they're great people, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just had their own issues to deal with. The same thing with, my friend group. So what I did was I would have to reach out to people online or people and mentor, and get mentored, because I really, I was mentored up to a certain point, and then from there it's on me. So I would say, even if you're at an age where you're older and and you think you don't have anything, you got a lot of life experiences that people they need leadership right now. They need people, voices that can talk definitely about what they've been through. So if you're somebody older and you're able to provide service to people, I think that's the best thing you can do in your life.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Not just you talk about young men, yes, but women, people of all ages. They're struggling.
Yep.
That's a lot of people out there struggling. The reason that social media has such a great impact is because people want help.
Yeah. Yep.
People have issues. They have concerns. People that are in bad marriages, they want to know how to fix it, or even if they should fix it. People who are looking
they don't have nobody to run to.
Exactly. People who are looking to get married they need good solid advice. And it goes back to when Eddie was talking about going back to biblical principles in the Bible. The standard was that the elder was to teach the younger,
right,
so that they would be able to know how to manage their families and how to build them up and establish them in the things that they would have them.
And I think we got away from that because a lot of people thinking they have an imposter syndrome, or they don't have what it takes to be on video. It's not having about what it takes. It's about putting out value to the person on the other end, because you don't know who's listening. Like, there's plenty of people that I would follow that I listen to. They'll never know that I listen to them. And then it's kind of like, dang, they brought up a good point, and I'm like, I'll remember that guy.
No, that's very, very true. I had something that was on my tongue that I want to say. Okay, in regards to family, going back to family, like, some people don't have family, like Chris said, right?
I mean, I got family, and I got a great
Chris,
family,
no
but
one loves you. Let's be honest, no one loves you.
Some people don't.
Chris,
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
No one loves you.
I know.
That's not true.
I'm a lover, bro.
That's not true.
I love myself.
That's
Good thing I love myself.
But a lot of people don't have family. They don't. That's
Chris,
true.
D over there to rescue. That's not true.
A lot of people don't.
Okay.
We love you.
Chris D loves you.
Yeah.
Finally, you got somebody.
Eddie loves you
Finally
too.
got somebody on your side.
Eddie loves you too. He's just in
I
denial.
don't like that kid.
He's gaslighting you.
You're gaslighting
I'm
me.
gaslight. I'm witchcraft.
We talked about
I'm
that.
practicing witchcraft. Oh, God.
He's talking about what he's talking
I can't
about.
stop practicing. Help me. Oh, God. Salem, Massachusetts. What are you doing? So this is the thing
I threw him
about.
off.
Okay, so this is the thing about family, right?
Yeah.
So when we don't have family, right?
Right.
God actually gives us family.
Absolutely.
This is the weird thing about it. What most people don't realize. The people that I found in my faith, it's my core family. Like, they know me for my heart, not what they think I should produce, not from what they think I am, not from Coach Eddie, the title. They know me from my heart. I have a brother, in my ministry that is a brother. Like, he knows everything I'm going through every day. We cry together, we talk together. Like he's doing life with me. And that is, God will be your family. God, when your family forsake you, God is there. And sometimes people take a long time to get there, and we all on a different journeys, because then we discover like these, I don't want to say false families, because they do satisfy something.
There's always seasons that people come into your life.
And then you get to the church, and then you realize, but some people have a thing with the church. They're like, oh, they did this, blah, blah, blah. But once you get over yourself and you really go from you will find true. And then you're like, this is what I needed. And if you can get in a relationship and you can get your family into those situations, because right now I feel like I practice a level of vulnerability that I did not practice during my marriage. and it affected things. But if I feel like if I practice that level of vulnerability, I would have such peace, and I would have such a family around me that is from the heart, like, which I thought I did, but no, the level of vulnerability I practice now, I feel like the connection will be a lot deeper, you know. So I can only blame them, like, oh, they're not loyal. Well, was I loyal?
That's true. Loyalty goes both ways.
Yeah, was I able to be vulnerable and open? People wasn't loyal because they wasn't feeling connected to me.
When you're vulnerable, that opens up a different avenue for people to communicate
see your
with
heart.
you.
Yeah, people see, like, they don't feel like they don't
Intimidated
know you, or
or
intimidated. They don't feel like you're being Mr. Perfect or whatever. And I think before I was Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, you can.
Well,
people
I
can
mean,
pretend. I mean, like,
I
listen. Yeah. There's plenty of situations where you want to act like you are, and you don't want to be vulnerable because you're the stronger person, or you feel like you are. But I think the stronger person is the one that's the most vulnerable. You know, not as far as people taking advantage of you, but just kind of letting it out there.
You're hot today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to read Isaiah 8:19 verse 2-22, which is kind of reflective of what we talked about today. When someone tells you to consult mediums, astrologists, and spiritists who whisper and mutter, should not a people inquire of their God? Why consult the dead on the behalf of the living? Consult God instruction and the testimony of warning. You know, you see how this is redeemed by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our living testimony. God always come with testimony. You know, sometimes you always say, "Oh, seek Jesus," but in order to seek Jesus, you have to be reflective of testimony, your journey. Like, it's not disconnected. People are so disconnected from that. You know, so even this scripture: consult God instruction and the testimony of warning. You guys been warned. If you're watching this, you've been warned. If anyone does not speak according to this word, they have no light in them. Distressed and hungry, they will roam throughout the land. When they are famished, they will become enraged, and looking upward will curse their king and their God. They'll say, "God, why you have forsaken me? You haven't done nothing for me." Look, they'll just blame God because they just want to live the way they want to live. Then they will look toward the earth and see only distress and darkness and fearful gloom, and they will be thrust into the utter darkness. So what I'm saying is, everything has, I mean, I wanted to talk on another topic. We only have 10 minutes, but I wanted to hit this topic real quick because it falls right into this. Do you know we have living artifact that the word of God is real? No, outside of the Bible. Where? Like, people say, "Oh, I need a testimony." If you haven't lived back then, I don't know if the word of God is real. I don't know what the word of God is.
There are more and more things that are scientists are discovering that are proof that the things that the Bible talks about are true.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think there needs to be more of that out there because honestly, if you're gonna be, you know, there just needs to be more scientifically proven because I think a lot of people are starting to question it nowadays.
We don't have to worry about science because the living artifact.
I know that. That's what
that you are aware of, that everyone's aware of.
The cross?
Nope. That everyone's aware of, but everyone's ignoring.
What is it?
Everyone's aware of it.
You're gonna hear it first on this show.
Okay. So, could you explain, Chris, what happened with Babel, real quick? The Tower of Babel.
The Tower of Babel was. So this is early after Adam and Eve and before Noah. All the people actually spoke all the same languages, and they decided to come together, and they were going to build a tower to heaven. God came down and saw what they were doing, and he said, I got to stop this before they're successful. I think that, well, I do have a lot of opinions about it, but whatever. Anyway, God confused the languages, the Word of God says that, or in other words, he had them all speak in different languages, and they were not able to communicate together
anymore.
And they all went in their separate language. They all went their separate ways.
So there was one language before that. Everyone spoke a language.
Yes, the same language.
It wasn't really God was trying to not to be successful. He just didn't want them to have so much pride in themselves and idolize.
They forget about him.
Themselves and their works opposed to who God is, right? And so one of the groups that left, they went to the east at that time, Noah's sons, or one of his sons' descendants, moved to the east following the Tower of Babel, confusion of languages. And this is concluded from the Chinese character for ship. So the Chinese people went to the east. This is a group of people. And so when at that time, everyone had their own language, right? And everything was in pictorial form, right? It wasn't like
Yeah. You would
alphabet,
draw,
whatever.
yeah.
So the Chinese language is only the language, the core language, that is the same from when it was to beginning to now. The only one.
So the Chinese Bible is more accurate.
No, it's not even the Chinese Bible. The Bible didn't even exist by then.
Okay.
So if the Tower of Babel is a fake story, right? It's like, oh, whatever. The Chinese language is the only language that is the original language for whatever. It existed 4,500 years ago.
Wow.
The Bible was written 3,500 years ago.
Okay.
By Moses started getting written. So it exists before the Bible. So when the Chinese language and if you know the Chinese language, everything is pictures within that language, right? Everything is pictures, like to describe something. How do you think they describe a large ship? Like a large vessel. Like a large
Just
vessel to
drawing
them
out a
would be
large
Noah.
vessel.
Yeah.
An ark.
So the Chinese word for ship is 8 miles in a boat. Noah, the ship, 8 miles in the boat. We know that. What do you think the Chinese word for devil is? In their pictures.
Probably
Serpent.
Alive in a garden walks a deceiver.
Wow.
Wait. The Bible didn't exist yet.
Right.
And the Chinese language is testifying to the word of God. The Bible did not exist.
Wow.
So this anyone has a question. How do you think Chinese describe first?
I don't know.
Alive from earth came a walker.
Wow.
How do you think Chinese describes happiness and success?
I don't know.
One mouth in a garden with God.
Wow.
The Chinese
See,
language describes Genesis 1 through 11 before the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
It documents up to the Tower of Babel, and then the Bible comes. Like, this is before the Bible is written.
Right.
This is before, so no one can say that. They try to discredit, like, oh, missionaries. Nope, they did a study. No, this is the original language.
Wow.
How do you think Chinese word for forbidden?
Is it something with a tree and a fruit?
2 trees stands God.
Wow.
And now the Chinese word even talk about Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Jesus Christ didn't even exist. What did you think the Chinese word for righteousness?
I don't know.
A lamb over you.
Wow.
God.
See, but you know what?
don't
If
be
you don't,
goofy.
the thing is, if
Yes.
you don't know the Bible, then you wouldn't know. You
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's true,
see this
yeah.
stuff.
You
You know
wouldn't
But I'm
connect the
saying,
dots
this
on
is something that is hidden. Satan hides the truth.
Right.
There is no reason why any of us should not submit to the word of God. None. We all know the testimony. So when we do come in front of God, it's going to be our own choice. It's our own life. It's not like we didn't have warnings. We didn't have understanding. We didn't have clear whatever. It's us submitting and saying, God, I'm going to put you first. I'm going to choose to submit my thoughts to you. That's why when you go to my page, I say, opinions don't matter. I don't care about opinions. You have your opinion and perspective. That doesn't go against the truth.
Wow.
It doesn't matter. So, I mean, the living room was very powerful this time around. We went
Yeah, we
into so
appreciate it.
many things. I feel like this was like one of the best episodes. I love the discussions that we had. And it was beautiful. Did anyone have a last parting words?
Parting words. No.
That-
That sounds so final.
Yeah,
You-
yeah. Last parting words.
Speaking to the lives of your children, don't think that anybody else's voice is louder than your voice. They care about what you have to say. The young adults in your life, they care about what you have to say. Your peers, you have the opportunity to affect them in a positive way. You got to start speaking life into these people. You got to start telling them who they are. If you don't tell them who they are, the world will tell them, and you will not be happy with the results. So I just want to encourage parents. I know it's crazy out there, but these are your children. They were the gift that was given to you.
Yes.
Raise them in the
Good
best
reminder.
way that you
And
know.
they are
how you
listening,
can.
even
And
though
they
you think
are
they're not.
listening. They're listening.
I
Even
feel
though,
like they
even
don't
if they're
listen
in their
sometimes.
phone, they're still listening.
They act like they don't, but they'll remember.
Even if they're in
They'll
their phone,
remember.
they're still
They
listening.
will
Even if they're
remember.
talking to their friends, they're still listening to what you have to say. And they're being impacted by it. So you might not see it until 20, whatever, some years
They
later.
will remember it.
But they will
100%.
remember.
I didn't know that. Like I said, my daughter remembered a lot of stuff when she was younger. Then when we got older, it was like, remember this, Dad? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
remember you didn't feed us for 3
Yeah,
days?
yeah, exactly. Remember? Yeah, exactly.
tell
Remember you
anybody that.
said.
Shut up.
Remember you said good or bad. They remember.
Yeah.
So say good. Tell them good because there's good in them. There's good in them.
Wow, 11:59. We made it right on time. We started on time. We ended on time. Living Room episode 4. Thank you. Until next time.
Woohoo.
Boom. Chris D.